And as we know, from what we have learned in the Zohar, that while most of us believe that we are subject to the influences of the stars, even Rabbi Akiva would from time to time go and consult astrologers, because he realized in his time that there was absolutely an influence that almost delegated humankind on how they would behave to that extent. And of course, if we go back even further than Rabbi Akiva, we go back to the first astrologer, first recorded astrologer. Of course, there are others who say there may have been some even before, but the first recorded astrologer that ever existed was, of course, Abraham Avinu. Abraham was the first astrologer. And we know that he was the first astrologer because of the Sefer that he wrote, Sefer Yetzira, which provides us with all of the in-depth information concerning the influences of the cosmos. If any of us still are doubtful of the influence of the cosmos, then we have a great deal yet to learn, because there are very few of us that can rightfully claim that we are in control of our lives. Very few who can say that they are in control of their lives. Certainly no one can claim that we are in control of our health. In other words, when someone b'chas v'shalom becomes ill, who brought that about? I mean, we're talking about people with no apparent reason for getting sick, or people in business for no apparent reason. We can always, after the fact, explain it away. But do we have control over these matters? And the answer is, we absolutely do not have control. But rather we are governed and we are ruled, as it says in the Torah, in Bereshit, that there is a sun and there's a moon, that they rule. They rule, it says. They rule. Therefore, the purpose of the center is to bring again the information that unfortunately was lost a very long time ago, that was lost, and as Rabbi Shimon said, in the age of Aquarius, in Zman Yemot HaMashiach, this information that was available in the period of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, in the age of Aquarius, again, this information shall be forthcoming to the Jewish people. And Baruch Hashem, certainly the center, now in its 70th year, has been in the forefront to provide everyone, man, woman, and child, as Rabbi Shimon said, man, woman, and child, with this information. Therefore, information is essential because it is our only connection to the planets, to the stars. And if we are talking about and considering control, as Rabbi Akiva before us, as Avraham Avinu, who the Zohar says saw in the stars that he would have no children with Sarah. Says the Zohar that Hashem, in chapter 15, in Bereshit, it says Hashem took him outside. I mean, can you imagine Hashem walking outside with Avraham? I mean, is it a question of two people? But what it says the Zohar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, that at that moment, when Avraham Avinu, who was the first astrologer, could read into the stars and draw up his own map and see that he would never have children with Sarah, Hashem told Avraham, which it means he took him outside, meaning he told Avraham at that time that you could go out of the influence of the stars. And therefore, the Talmud says, Ein mazal li Yisrael, but it doesn't mean that there is no mazal. Everyone, the Talmud, and everyone knew there was a mazal. But that we have to be governed by mazal, says the Talmud, and says Rabbi Shimon, that we do not have to be governed. But most of our actions, for those who have no control over the influences, like Avraham, are governed. And while our egos may constantly remind us that I am controlled, my sechel, my brain, my ingenuity tells me that I am in control. But if you look just a little further, you realize that we are not in control. Therefore, says Rabbi Shimon, that it is essential, if we want to control the influences of the planets and the constellations, if we want to have that control, we must understand thoroughly what these planets and what these signs of the constellations are about.